Hey everyone, welcome to the Experience.This.Travel show. We are on season 3, episode 3, so moving right along. And we're super excited for our guest today. Just coming off of a tour in Madrid. What a great time to talk about the LATAM travel market and some of the trends and really cool stuff happening there. But first, I'm Lori Timoney. I'm with Go City. And my co-host, Bruce, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Lori. Bruce Rosard. I'm one of the co-founders of Arrival. Had a great time in Madrid. It's almost 2 weeks. It is 2 weeks ago now. Hung out with the Civitatis crew, who had a great booth, and we had a party. And after work, as they say, what we call happy hour here in the States. It was very successful and fun. And then got to hang out with my old friend Guido, who I've known for many years from our days at Focusrite, where he would come to every Focusrite conference, and we would hang out and have fun and learn about the business that Guido started at Attica in Latin America. And now he's moved on to something a lot bigger and really super interesting. And we're here to talk about Rappi, a super app down in Latin America, and the partnership that Rappi has with Civitatis. So great show scheduled. Guido, why don't you introduce yourself?
Great, thanks. Pleasure to be here, Bruce, Lori. Thanks for the invite. Well, like Bruce said, I've been in the space for like 25 years in the travel tech space. Started with a B2C experience in the previous century in 1999. Then founding Netactica, a travel tech player in Latin America. And now, since 2019, I started within Rappi, which is the Latin American super app for deliveries, groceries, food, among many other verticals. I created or co-founded within Rappi the travel vertical, which is, well, maybe we'll talk about it later, but it's a vertical marketplace, together with other initiatives, including the loyalty vertical, which has a lot of things in common and has many synergies with the travel vertical. So happy to be here.
Great. Arturo, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, excited to be here. Thank you, Lori and Bruce, for having us on this show. I've listened to so many episodes. So I'm Arturo. I'm the Chief Data and Strategy Officer at Civitatis, the leading tours and activities marketplace catered specifically for the Spanish-speaking countries. I've been at Civitatis for the past more than 5 years already. Before that, I would be building predictive applications and distributed systems in various spaces, in the fintech spaces for the most part. And within Civitatis, I take care of the data team, the payments team, and also, of course, our strategic projects, which include remarkably our expansion in Latin America.
Yeah, and you really have made some pretty big inroads in that space. You know, Go City obviously works with Civitatis, so we have a very keen eye on the you know, kind of the advancements and enhancements you've made, and so it would be interesting to talk a little bit about, you know, kind of your growth in this space. And obviously you're very you know, you're very pointed towards and very curated towards that LATAM traveler. What are some of the biggest changes you've seen in that space in the last 5 years, especially around the way that the LATAM traveler is booking experiences?
Yeah. So the Latin American customer, which we have been working for many years. So Civitatis is a quite old company, actually, founded in 2008. But, you know, of course, like massive growth have accelerated in the past maybe 6 years. But we've had Latin American customers for pretty much from the beginning, as we share the language. The project originally started in Spain. So the Latin American customer, I think, is highly demanding. It's yeah, because of the of course the quality of the tours, and as well with the nature, the variety, the richness, I guess, as compared to more standardized customers from other geographies. This is what we are seeing. It's demanding in both the quality and keeping us innovating often. And then, of course, this is a very young region of the world as compared maybe to Europe and the American and America, right, and the States. So for us, it's a big opportunity in terms of how many new customers, new people are visiting abroad for the first time. It's a great audience and very excited about tours and activities. I'd say even I'm an audience that values a lot. Something that we in the industry always say that tours and activities is the reason why you travel, and the more emotional piece as compared to our European audience is much more fervent about this idea of doing something special.
Yeah, so you are particularly, just to the point that I made before, you obviously curate everything. You're not like an open marketplace solution. And everything, as I understand it, is available in Spanish. So you're definitely addressing that customer. They know if they take one of your tours, it's going to be in Spanish. And I know that's really important to the LATAM traveler to have that language, that ability to understand. Um, how do you scale a business like that? I mean, it's really, I got to believe there's got to be some challenges around scaling that kind of business.
Yeah, and I'll double down. It's curation on the language and curation on the selection that we ourselves do. So it's not only, I guess, finding a certain type of tour and activity in Spanish, but actually we are we only work with some operators by design. So certainly scaling is something that we do mix of a craft, and we also apply technology, of course. But it has an element of craft finding, really finding products that are similar in its definition, similar in its quality, and that can deliver up to the expectation of our of our value proposition to customers. But it certainly has some challenges as compared to open marketplaces. The industry is dominated by peaks, right? And there's high seasons and low seasons. And during high seasons, of course, when you're curated, you need to be very smart to work out solutions to handle all that excess demand, right? An open marketplace would typically just expand supply. We work with our operators, and we have many stories of operators that have grown with us. We try to communicate in advance. How do we see the market evolving in the next few months, so that they can adapt and to our growing base, not only from Latin America but worldwide. So it's part of technology, part of craft. We have a great supply team as well that is looking 24/7 on scaling.
I think the whole story about marketplace versus curation is something that I know I've heard from your team before. It's an important part, and the different OTAs in this business look at that differently. But let's go back to the scale question, and then we can switch over to Guido. Not everyone is as familiar with Civitatis as we are. I mean, you dominate in the role of focusing on the Spanish-speaking marketplace. I know that you're also doing a lot with the Portuguese-speaking marketplace, of course, because of Portugal and Brazil. Can you give us an idea of how big Civitatis is, whether it's number of passengers that you move each year or whatever KPIs that you like to look at? But it would be great for us to know, how big is Civitatis, because I know it's pretty big numbers.
Yeah. So to give you, just an estimate, we sold north of 11 million. We have north of 11 million travelers using Civitatis tours and activities during 2024. We expect that to be to get 15 million now in 2025. So it's quite a large volume that we do every year, and again with a focus on curation supply. So it's
So, I mean, 11 million is huge, obviously, for 2024, and you're going to grow to 15 million this year is your forecast.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll maybe come back to how are you going to do that? But Those are big numbers in our world.
It's going to be Rappi. Guido's going to send them all his customers.
No, I know. That's why I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, let's let Guido tell us about Rappi. Those numbers now, sorry, Arturo, might seem small to compare to what Guido's working with over at Rappi. Guido, tell us a little bit more about then Rappi and the numbers
Well,
and when it
yeah,
started.
but Rappi numbers are in other categories, right? In bringing together many verticals.
Yeah.
Rappi started more than 7 years ago as mainly as a food delivery app, and it grew into this super app, adding more verticals such as groceries, pets, pharmacy, liquors, car insurance, fintech with its own bank and credit card, travel, and also it got famous with there's a functionality called Rappi Favor, which you can ask whatever. Basically, it's the human side. Now we have ChatGPT, but it cannot solve everything. So Rappi Favor, well, yeah, well, you can see it's usually like most of the interactions and transactions are done in an app. Users using the app. We have some web use, but it's mainly the app. And going back to the Rappi Favor functionality, you can ask. Well, when the first time I used it, my son forgot his soccer cleats at home, and at school in when traffic is hard, school is 1 hour away, so he would miss the game, I would miss my day taking the cleats to school. So I just order Rappi, someone with a motorbike to pick it up and take it to the school. And that's only one example of so many things you can ask. It's pick up something, buy something, pay something, or whatever. So basically Rappi grew as a convenient app. It would help you in your day-to-day groceries, food, and much more. So Rappi evolved to this super app. Is a tricky name, but the other definition is quite long, which is a multi-vertical high-frequency app. So
Can you tell us how
well,
many users a day, a week, a month typically
well,
would
I can
have,
tell
and
you
what
that
countries they come from?
we are in 9 countries: Argentina, Chile, Peru, Uruguay, Costa Rica, Colombia, Mexico, Brazil, and Ecuador. I
So
think I'm
pretty
not
much South
missing.
America, a little bit of Central, and then Mexico.
Yeah, some a few countries are left. Probably, I hope eventually at some point in the future, we're in those countries too. And Rappi has above 100 million downloads, but in active users, for Rappi, active is quite active. If you haven't done a purchase in the last 30 days, you enter another group of users that are not considering Rappi in the day to day. So we have 20 million a month. So that goes to approximately a similar number in orders. So it's very active, and we have millions of users that are what we call the Rappi Pro users. It's the Rappi Pro is it's like the Prime membership that you get benefits in some promotions and non-delivery fees, etc. So we have more than 50% of sales are orders from that group, which pay monthly service for that. So it's very high. It's a the loyalty of those users is very important, and the frequency is very high. Most of them from 5 to 7 times a week ordering.
That's
So
amazing.
that's a lot of data and user behavior and data points with the users that enable us to open new verticals or do cross-selling between verticals. So that's kind of the magic that Rappi got to develop during these years. And the speciality, I would say that at the end we realized that we can bring targeted and very specific audiences to many brands around the globe that wants to target specific audiences in Latin America. So not only age, gender, where they live, if they move from place to place, not because they travel with us, also because they open the app in different locations. What food what type of food, the average ticket price, if they have a dog or not, because the pets vertical is quite important. So we understand if you order diapers and dog food and ceviche, we try to cross all that data.
You have all the information that Jeff Bezos has with Amazon customers then, or sort of getting
I
there.
would say it's in that space. We are usually compared to DoorDash or Uber Eats in the States, but the user interaction is quite different. I don't believe that they have users that they do daily orders. Probably the dynamics of big urban cities in Latin America, the craziness, the traffic, and the infrastructure makes it more attractive for Rappi to solve your problems. So that's why I got so deep into users' lives. So I would say that it's more similar to similar projects in Asia, like
I was
Meituan, Alibaba.
just gonna say that I think I recall hearing that you were sort of likened the sort of success of a super app, which I guess that's what we call Rappi,
Yeah.
to the super apps in Asia, which super apps in the US have not really taken off in a big way. But I think I recall you saying something about the LATAM customer is more similar to the Asian customer, which is why the super app concept works. And is that what you're talking about right now? That you feel as though this sort of the connectedness of the city and the traffic and the confusion, and what else is the reason why it works in LATAM, countries, but not in, let's say, US or EMEA?
Also, I think it's related to your question about scaling a business too. The infrastructure and the adoption of technology is more similar to Asia. I mean, Europe and US are much more developed in terms of infrastructure and adoption of the first computer. We have users that the first encounter with technology was a phone, and the adoption has been huge. So the growth we see in the region on phone adoption and smartphone adoption jumped other technologies in the middle, which in the States and Europe was more linear. In our case was more, in our case of the region, right, was more exponential. So that together with the friction and the problems that our regions have, we and like Arturo said, it's the user is demanding. So if you can find a brand that helps you and you can trust in terms of payments, credit card, data, you eventually trust that brand in many other things. So
But let's maybe connect the dots here. So, I can't, were you an investor in Civitatis, or you're on the board, or there's some connection there, right?
yeah, I'm in the board.
Okay. And so you've got Rappi Travel. I think you already probably started Rappi, and then you added Civitatis activities later, but maybe you can just talk a little bit, maybe both of you, as to how this whole thing came together.
Good. So Rappi Travel started with Air, which was, I would say, it's like where in Spanish or in Argentina we say it's like the cigarette of the kiosk. People go well, in Spain people smoke a lot too. So I think in Spain they smoke more than in Argentina now. And I live in Colombia, by the way, so it's all a mix of Latin American Hispanic cultures. But the Air piece is as in other markets, it attracts users, and also we were doing at the same time partnerships with loyalty programs from the airlines, so you could earn and burn points within Rappi. So so selling tickets was a no-brainer in that sense, but in reality, getting to more frequent type of products like tours and activities was part of the strategy. Probably airline tickets, it's far from the daily usage of getting lunch at home or at your office.
A little more thought.
But there is a surprising amount of users that use us in their bi-weekly or monthly commute between their home city and another city where they live, and we help them with their food. And probably if they live in Medellin and go to Bogota for work, we help them with the food, with their weekly food when they're working in Bogota. So then we added hotels, packages, car rental, because the idea was to take advantage of the frequency that Rappi has and its users have in our app. So at the end of that category addition was eventually was tours and activities. I was not part of a negotiation, of course, but there are not many players doing high volume, scalable, curated in Spanish, and our users speak Spanish and Portuguese. So I would imagine that there was not much difficulty
No
in that
competition.
negotiation.
Arturo, you don't have any competition.
Well, it's a high fragmented market. The friction and the challenges in our region in terms of payment security, there's a lot of fragmentation. So yeah, Civitatis during all these years was able to capture an important part of awareness in this space and build the infrastructure and build the capabilities to capture part of that fragmented market. And I believe that the opportunity is still huge.
So let's dig into that a little bit if we could. So now, when did Civitatis come on the Rappi platform?
It was December.
Yeah.
Just December of 24?
Yep.
Yeah,
This is brand new.
fresh.
It's
Yeah,
brand new. Okay, so Arturo, why don't you tell us a little bit? Huge potential, right?
Yeah.
What are
Just
you
look at the
seeing
numbers.
so far in terms of usage, conversion? Are there certain products, regions that you're focusing on? I'm going to go back to a screen share while you tell us so it's really new. It's only been December, so it's been 2 months, right? Tell us what you're seeing so far.
No, we're early figures of awareness, let's say consideration, that top of the funnel are very exciting. I think the frequency, the audience that Rappi puts us in front of is super. It's a great opportunity for us, as you mentioned. This is just only lives in December, so it's live, and then actually we can maybe we can share some fun facts about people start making tours and activities reservations after a lunch reservation. But I think it's it's working. It's working really well, and we're ramping up. You know how these things work. Additional campaigns and journeys, and there's a lot of boosters that we can still leverage in order to make the most. But for us, Rappi's monthly active usage, maybe we can speak about that later, but payments in Latin America are super important, super complicated. I think we figured out somehow internally at Civitatis, but of course Rappi, and we're seeing now the cashback and sort of the Rappi wallet use and all that. It's super simple for the Rappi users to actually consume our products, which ultimately is sort of like it's a different type of sale. So the familiarity with the payment stage, which is crucial in Latin America, much more than in Europe or in the States.
How many people approximately a month are you putting into Rappi Travel overall?
Well, I cannot disclose some details at this moment within Rappi. Rappi's undergoing certain projects, but it's in the millions of users. That it's just a little piece of the whole Rappi traffic. We're still what Rappi Travel does. It is open to all of the users. You can access travel like you did, but when we target. We don't send a promotion or an offer to all the user base. What we're doing is identifying which cohorts respond better. So as an example, in this Pro and Rappi Card cohorts, we found that some months we had 20% conversion rate for those cohorts. in travel, you know that that's crazy. But that was because those users are heavy users that get cashback all the time, that use the cashback. It's not like miles that eventually in 1 year you will have enough miles to maybe buy an airline ticket. This is cashback that if they spend thousands a month, that's a lot of money to go to put back and use again. So those conversion rates are specific to those two cohorts. So what we're trying to find is which other cohorts, which other lookalike. We use the lookalike methodology to find the group of users that react better to the different products that we have in travel.
When we look at travel, there's a lot of multi-day trips, and Guido was just talking about the 3-day Casablanca trip. Are you staying to the 1-day experiences that Civitatis usually does, or are you expanding out to multi-day?
Multi-day, you probably know much better than I do, but has its own challenges, I guess. We do have those a small portion of our inventory are multi-day trips. It's 7 days Egypt, but it's sort of like a pack, right? I guess there's complexities around the flexibility of building multi-day trips on the go. For us, what we have multi-day are it's a package
Set
with
package,
so
you're still
small variations in
you're
quality.
The 1-day experiences partner for Rappi, and Guido, you work with other companies for multi-day trips.
No. For us, the experiences vertical is we deal with the marketing, the communication, identifying the cohorts, and promotions, and the whole supply for tours and activities done.
You've both mentioned this a couple of times, and I think it's a very big part of the LATAM travel market, and that is the whole issue around payment. And Arturo, I was wondering if you could maybe talk a little bit about how you at Civitatis are, how do you manage that? I mean, maybe you talk a little bit about the whole concept of paying in installments and, what particular platforms are you using? And, just give us a sense of, how complicated it can or can't be and what you're doing to solve that and make it available to your customers.
Yeah. So I think once again, the Latin American customer is quite sophisticated and demanding when it comes to payments. So when you think about our European customer, there's some innovation in BNPL options and the likes, but most of the people would use credit card, and that's just regular payment with credit card. For us, as we wanted to be very close to and feel familiar and feel sort of natural and local to our Latin American audiences, I think we've been doing that for 5 years already. We decided to work with players that allow us to have local payment methods available to customers, right? So I think there's two big categories that are relevant in Latin America. One is wallets that are quite important in some countries. Remarkably, for example, in Brazil, which is one of our key markets, there's this payment method called Pix, which is increasing its popularity. And we've seen that trend. It's of course, credit cards remain very important, but Pix is it's gaining a lot of importance for us when it comes to payments. And then the other key theme, I guess, and there's other countries with Mercado Pago. In Colombia, there's also some wallets that are quite widespread. And the other theme is payments installments, as you were saying, which brings the complexity of, depending on how you want to treat the installments, brings the complexity either of dealing with collections of cash in months, or there's an additional cost, of course, if you want that money anticipated, right? But we're currently offering installments both in Mexico and Brazil. In other countries, direct to the consumer. In other countries, like in Colombia, for example, this is something that the banks deal directly with their customers. Argentina has been forbidden for a while to do installments in the travel space. So the point is, in a region, in an equivalent total addressable market region, let's say the amount of nuances and changes to regulatory and taxes and everything as compared to Europe or the States. And it's really an effort, but I think this is something that it is totally worth, and customers appreciate a lot, being able to pay in their own currency, using their own payment methods. But it comes with a lot of, to be fully transparent, a lot of work and a lot of product fixes that you need to do to adapt. Now there's this tax, or so it's and yeah, we've been working with the most important PSPs that do this type of payments. Last year we implemented an orchestrator methodology where we basically use a number of different payment services providers, based on a number of rules, business rules.
So you still
Laurie,
have.
one thing to mention, that when you say Latin America, sometimes Latin America is considered as a region, but I gave you 9 countries where we are, and it's 9 currencies and 9 regulations among and 9 different inflation rates. So when Argentina has high inflation rate, people go for installment to see if the interest rate for the installment is better than the inflation rate. So it's very sophisticated. We have very sophisticated users that are all mathematicians, understanding if they want to pay with points, earn points, burn, or use dollars, because for that transactions, dollars are better than euros or your own currency.
It really
So
blows your mind.
It blows your mind. Put that
really
together
good
with the
case.
cross-border payments and the fraud and much more, so you get like a nice interesting soup there.
The really good case for, tour and activity providers who want to reach a LATAM traveler, but they can't possibly get into all of that payment, complication. So working with somebody like a Civitatis makes a lot of sense to them, because they don't have to deal with that, right? You are experts at reaching the LATAM traveler, and you're experts at servicing them. And that is something that I think is a good takeaway. We don't have a lot of time yet, but I do think it's important to get into AI. And I'd love to know, Arturo, let's start with you. How are you using AI in your business right now? What is other than, kind of the operational way everybody's using it, content, what else are you doing?
So we've been using, let's say, AI, ML, the old ML, that still works quite well though. But as I told you before joining Civitatis, I would do that for many years, and then we've applied that, to some processes internally around demand forecasting, or review management, topic modeling of our opinions and some things, right? But very recently, or not very recently, but in the last years, with the explosion of Gen AI, I think this has been transformative in getting it closer to the user in a way that you don't need to be a statistician or a data engineer to know or to make use of it. So it's been great. We currently have multiple deployments of Gen AI applications in the workings for internal productivity, to things like a knowledge base where we can ask questions and get to answers much faster than just typically looking at it and searching for the answer. And then, of course, this is the big theme in the industry, I guess, not in this, in the tours and activities, and I guess broadly, which is agentic AI and what that means for how users search. And we're also preparing both from understanding how agents work and how can we build our own systems, the way we deploy content, the way we make our systems accessible to this type of user. We've built a great app and great web app for human consumption. And it seems that in the coming months, maybe months, we need to get ready for an increasing number of these agents searching for information about what to do in Rome. We have great organic positioning across the markets. And of course, it's super important to continue being relevant for agents as consumers rely on them to run these queries, right? So it's a quite important line of work for us.
And I got to believe that you're in a good position because you are so curated and specialized. I've got to believe that the bots are going to find your content and so that's what I think anyway. What about you, Guido? What's happening in your world? How are you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to add something to the question that you made to Arturo. I remember from our episode, Christian was pushing the AI will be so smart that we'll find I think it was the Empire State Building that he used as an example. If it's $1 less, it will book directly. But that's considering in the I would say the developed world. In Latin America, probably most of the attractions and a lot of the products out there, the supply content of tours and activities is not bookable so easy. So I would say that here AI will come much earlier than the capability of the market readiness in terms of accessing tools and activities directly from suppliers. We did our research when we were in Rappi going to launch this category. We saw that it was sort of impossible to get so many players on board. So I believe that the challenge, I think here OTAs in the discussion, OTAs and intermediaries with AI, I think in Latin America, intermediaries or marketplaces that are created have a big chance of capturing more market. So that's just to join with a discussion you guys had in another
Yeah,
episode.
I just want you to summarize that really briefly, if you could, since Christian's not here to defend himself. Perfect.
Okay.
What I think I heard you said is that Christian's theory that we're all going to have our own AI agent that will be able to go and find that perfect experience for us. Go.
I agree in the general trend globally, but specifically in different regions and certain products and certain age groups, it's not going to happen so fast, like he believes within 2 or 3 years, at least in this region. I don't see many people that I know be able, not on the AI part, on the agent, not necessarily, but many of the interesting attractions you could find here are not bookable. So you need first to offer those players the capability to be found online. Probably now that they see that agents are booking, companies and content will get online faster, like it happened with the internet times or the beginning of the OTAs. But I think the trend will happen, but slower.
But if they're not bookable, how can I book it on Civitatis? Because they have to be connected
OTAs
to Civitatis.
help those players to bring on board some of the content. I'm not talking to all of the content, but some content.
They're still sold on Viator.
Pardon me?
Yeah. It's like the suppliers that they don't have connectivity, but they're still sold on Viator, right?
Yeah.
Because they have their own solution. It's the same thing.
And you have extranets, and you have some that only offer products through OTAs or wholesalers. So eventually that will open up.
So they're not,
but I think in different times
is what you mean.
I think
this
will come. I think I share with you a video of recently OpenAI launched this operator, which I think is the closest as an autonomous off the shelf, right? Something that it is usable by the regular user and have it run through Civitatis and book a tour, and it completed it with some help on my end, but of course reflecting on how this evolves in the coming months, right? This is baby steps. This is probably step 0, and it will get better, much better. And I completely see myself asking some system to do this for me. But still, I think when you look at our industry and the ability to pay locally and on a safe environment, the brand that gives me the confidence that my tour is not going to be booked in the very last minute. So I do think still brands like Civitatis has built one in the tours and activity space will be relevant regardless of the system that you end up consuming. but this is opinions. We're early steps. It is exciting nonetheless. I guess making it much easier for consumers to find what they want, and ultimately, our core business is working with operators, discovering new tours for our customers, and so it's the booking experience. We need to make it as good as possible. But if something fixes it completely, we'll get back to work, which is working with operators, right, to do the best possible experiences and innovate in the space. So
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't think
And Bruce,
this is an issue.
we've got to
the
wrap
the
up, but we're
yeah.
gonna just I'm gonna ask one more question to each of you. So Guido, what's your kind of bold prediction for what the experience industry looks like, the travel experience industry looks like in LATAM markets for 2025 or beyond, even just 2025, 26?
I believe that in the next years, the short term, I would say the next 2-3 years, we'll see a huge growth of the space because of all the new infrastructure, new communication between cities. There's so many destinations that people are not yet traveling to, and each of these destinations has a lot of tours and activities, product offering to bring. So I think we are going to face a perfect storm of technology, AI, destinations, infrastructure, roads, airlines that are growing. We have one of the best moments in terms of city connectivity, in terms of airlines, but also new roads that are. We have a new metro happening in Bogota. So I believe that all those variables are coming together to bring to this specific part of the travel space to grow significantly.
Excellent. What about you, Arturo?
Yeah, I think the opportunity is massive. So what we hear from both our, the consumers and our B2B partners, the agencies we work with as well, there's so many first-time travelers. So there's millions of people in there that are starting to either enter the job market, so have disposable income to travel abroad. And as Guido was pointing, in the connectivity flights in Latin America is also exploding. So it's in our plans. It's there's massive tailwinds that we plan to capitalize in the coming years. Of course, there's this. Latin America is super unstable at the same time. The good thing, as Guido was pointing, is that from a statistics point of view, there's 9 countries. So maybe one, like Argentina, was very down until very recently. Now it's booming, and then so countries will maybe one will not grow as much, but there's countries that are somehow uncorrelated, and so as a region, what we expect is massive growth.
That's exciting. Well, thanks a lot to both of you for
It's been great.
today. This has been a really great conversation. I feel like I had so many other things I wanted to ask. That's gonna
We can do a version 2, or we ask. I don't recall the tool that Tani brought that it can edit automatically, and we do a longer one, and then it shrinks. And
there
the
we
AI
go.
tool we do
Perfect.
one shorter podcast.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Guido.
Thank you
and
for the
Arturo.
invite.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.
See you soon.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody.